Hello and welcome to Manga Tour 96, and today we're going to talk about One Piece. Today's topic will be one of, if not the most hated character in all of One Piece. The reason for why he's so hated is because he does his job. While it's true that he sometimes goes overboard in doing his job, like in Ohara, for what he definitely would deserve to be hated. But no, he is primarily hated because he put a hole into Ace. Which at the end of the day, Ace deserves getting a hole punched through him for reacting to a silly taunt that even a child would ignore. And because of this, and not because of killing thousands of civilians, is Sakazuki so hated. This is now about why he's so hated. Let's focus more on who Sakazuki is. Sakazuki, formerly known by his Admiral alias Akainu, is the current Fleet Admiral of the Marines, succeeding the previous Fleet Admiral Sengoku. During the first half of the series, he was one of the 3 admirals, as the last one to debut. Upon becoming the Fleet Admiral, one of Sakazuki's first decisions was to relocate Marine headquarters into the New World in preparation for the new Pirate Age. He is perhaps the most strident follower of absolute justice in the entire series, to the point where his extremism prompted his fellow Admiral Aokiji to oppose his promotion to Fleet Admiral and resign from the Marines after their effort failed. While he is a strong and capable leader who has done well to consolidate the power and prestige of the Marines, Sakazuki would be best categorized as an extremist and highly dogmatic. He is an adamant believer in absolute justice and is ruthless in his maintenance of it. He derived motto being throughout justice. He has a stern, dead serious disposition, is grim, expressionless, and was the most ruthless out of the 3 admirals pre-time skip. This has given him a very fearsome reputation, but of greater concern is his dogmatism, which may end up making the Marines into a force that is worse than the enemies they hope to eliminate. Despite this disposition, Sakazuki seems to be able to restrain himself at times, having chosen to spare the life of Jewelry Bonnie and her crew after they were left beaten and tied up by the Blackbeard pirates for then Admiral to salvage, and letting his colleague Aokiji leave the Marines after he lost 10-10 duel for the position of Fleet Admiral. During the Buster Call attack on Ohara, Sakazuki's beliefs led him to go as far as destroying a refugee ship full of innocent people and Marines simply because of the slight possibility that a scholar would be hiding on board, an action that disgusted Vice Admiral Kuzan, who called him a fool and an idiot for overdoing things. His logic was that if one of the scholars of Ohara had escaped with it, the entire mission would have been a failure. His extremism has given him a borderline, if not outright, fanatic demeanor. He is incredibly rigid and absolute in his beliefs, showing little compassion for anyone or anything, and is ruthlessly willing to do whatever it takes to serve his own goals, no matter the cost. He mostly sees the Marines as an extension of himself and his own beliefs, willing to kill those who disagree with him, and showing little if any care for people placed under his charge. While this has made him extremely powerful and feared among pirates, the same fear inspired disconnect and loathing by his own men, causing him to lose a very useful and powerful ally in Kuzan because of it. Garp was also enraged that his fanatic obsession for destroying pirates resulted in the death of Ace and the near death of Luffy, though it is unclear if a rift between them has further deepened or caused further disdain among the Marines who believe in either's viewpoint. The best example of his absolutism is when he attempted to kill Kobe for his plea to stop the war, only to be stopped by the timely arrival of Shanks. His extremism also caused him to ban Admiral Fujitora from ever entering a Marine base due to his frustration in Dressrosa, though it was mostly because Sakazuki couldn't stand to see his version of justice and honor shamed because his enemies showcased its own failure. Fujitora rightly pointed out that Sakazuki's version of justice had no credibility or honor in the first place if it was that fragile, which only inflamed Sakazuki's rage further, seeing it as a personal slight. Additionally, he has no tolerance for Marines who desert their posts, to which the only consolation he does offer is that they should not dishonor their families by running away. Caesar Clown also believed that Sakazuki will desire his ideas of mass murder weapons and inhuman experiments on prisoners in contrast to the more pragmatic Sengoku. To Akainu, any marine who is not willing to fight for justice is not worthy of being called a marine. Despite all of this, even Sakazuki could not come to kill his former compatriot Uzan. As Fleet Admiral, Sakazuki holds immense pride in the name of the Marines. For example, when he learned that Fujitora had let the world know of what transpired in Dressrosa, Sakazuki was furious. His pride is so great he would rather cover up the ordeal to ensure that the Marines are adamant and credible to his doctrine of absolute justice. This conceited behavior even led to him yelling at the five elders for declaring the Flamingo's resignation from the Warlords of the Sea as false report, as he knew the world confusion would damage their trust in the Marines as well as the Marines' reputation. This shows that he does know the value of public trust, but thinks more in terms of the shame losing it brings to the Marines rather than the moral and good standing of his men. He finds people who attempt to interfere with him as nothing more than irritating obstacles. Furthermore, he seems to be unafraid of older legends, as when Whitebird told his men not to be intimidated by Garp due to the Marine being an old man. Akainu mocked Whitebird's comment, saying that Whitebird was also from the same generation as Garp before attacking the Emperor. While other Marines such as Sengoku and Garp share a decent amount of respect for their accomplished enemies, Akainu has no such empathy, instead is respecting them at every chance he gets. Prior to Sengoku making it public, Akainu was one of the few who knew that Luffy was Dragon's son. It is unknown if he has some past relationship with Dragon or if he was simply common knowledge among the high-ranking Marines that Dragon is Garp's son. As such, Akainu deems that Luffy's mere existence due to being Dragon's son is enough to be a threat to the world and therefore must be eliminated. In fact, Akainu's beliefs about heritage runs deep enough that he declares that even if every other pirates escape, he would personally ensure that neither Ace nor Luffy were allowed to leave the war alive due to their bloodlines. This conviction fueled Akainu to the point of actively hunting Luffy himself, even though Blackbeard was destroying Marineford at the time. Sakazuki does not see it as the business of the world nobles to interfere with the Marines' activities and vice versa. This was proven during his confrontation with the Five Elders, where he calls them out for permitting the Celestial Dragons CP0 to falsify Doflamingo's resignation from the Warlords of the Sea, even questioning whether the Five Elders are Celestial Dragons' puppets. Surprisingly, Sakazuki can demonstrate sense of caution in regards to battling pirates or causing disturbance in global affairs. This was seen when he didn't attempt to attack Shanks when he arrived at Marineford to save Kobe. Also, despite Borsalino's request to travel to Wano to deal with the possible alliance of the Beast Pirates and Big Mom Pirates, Sakazuki declines because Wano's military strength is an unknown factor and they are not within their jurisdiction. As Fleet Admiral, Sakazuki has total operational command of the Marines, with at present a mere 6 direct superiors to answer to, the world government's 5 elders and commander-in-chief. On top of any prior held authorities as Admiral, Sakazuki can now fully lay down the organization's strategy, deciding tactics and setting policies, directly assigning and reassigning forces to deploy globally in missions, including the Admirals, promotions or demotions, the lower ranks, and delegating any such powers as he sees fit. During a 2-year timeskip, he exercises his authority to have the Marine headquarters relocate to the New World, as well as institution a global-scale draft. Sakazuki's background, specifically as a black-hearted extremist, affords him a particularly fearsome reputation even by Admiral standards, as seen chiefly following the Summit War when Blackbeard, upon learning of Sakazuki's presence aboard a marine ship meant for negotiations, immediately fled off the island he dwelt on with his crew, noting their unreadiness to face the Admiral despite Blackbeard at that point having come to wield 2 of the strongest Delfruit powers in existence and bolstering his crew with 5 of Impel Down's most dangerous and powerful ex-prisoners. During the Summit War, Sakazuki's fighting prowess was well established against Whitebeard, an emperor and the world's strongest man, whom the Admiral matched up to in a head-to-head confrontation. Attesting to Sakazuki's perceived leadership competence and military acumen, he had many government personnel strongly push for him to succeed Sengoku as Fleet Admiral over the latter's personal nomination of Kuzan. While now feared and disdained by some of his hardline over-the-top methods, Sakazuki's prowess as a leader is undeniable. Indeed, as noted by Jinbei, the Marine HQ under him has supposedly grown far stronger, more determined than ever before, despite the resignation of Kuzan, Sengoku and Garp, thus bearing out Sakazuki's capabilities. Besides combat, Sakazuki is a shrewd manipulator, using whatever knowledge he holds of enemies to try to deceive them into doing what confirms with his goals. He feigns sympathy to Squardo, exploiting his hatred of the late Pirate King to influence him into betraying his loyalty to Whitebeard, and later purposely insulted Whitebeard's honor to goad Ace into attacking him, successfully doing so as to prevent Ace from escaping and killing him shortly after by aiming for his younger brother and letting Ace take the blow in the former's stead. Perhaps most impressive, however, are Sakazuki's vast durability and endurance, best illustrated by how not even 2 successive quick punches from Whitebeard hitting him point blank could keep him down. The second blow strong enough to split the island of Marineford in 2 as an after effect. He retained not only consciousness thereafter, but had more than enough strength left to keep on fighting without any point effecting the slightest exhaustion or impedance by injury. Another testament to his stamina, endurance and willpower is Sakazuki's face-off against Kuzan, wherein he equaled the other Admiral for 10 days total, in the process of which both men suffered heavy injuries. Despite the sheer amount of time this duel took to settle, Sakazuki emerged the decisive winner over Kuzan. He ate the Magu Magu no Mi, a low-get-up Delphrod that allows him to create, control and transform his body into magma. His magma is extremely hot and highly explosive, thus making it well suited for combat, allowing Sakazuki to burn, melt and destroy anything in his path. In fact, among all Delphrods, Sakazuki's is said to offer the greatest attack power. His primary method of combat is transforming his arm into magma to launch burning punches that can easily penetrate human bodies, drastically enlarge his arm to throw forward giant magma fists meant to reach enemies farther away, and even launch multiple magma fists as a barrage of meteor-like projectiles devastating the battlefield. Even for a Logia, this ability has great potential when used successfully by Sakazuki for 10 days. It warped the very climate of half an island, permanently rendering it a blazing inferno that embroils even the surrounding sea. With this, I covered everything that I wanted to cover about Sakazuki in this video. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content as well as other manga content, and until next time, take care.